Welcome back to Crime Besties, to another episode of our podcast.
How's it going, Emma?
Oh, I've had a week. I've had a week. I think we discussed in the podcast last week. My son ended up needing surgery last week, and it's just, the flow and effect of that.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. It's just, I'm looking forward to it being over and done with. And I think he is too.
Oh, I bet he is. I can't even imagine being in that brace for this time. So as a kid who is active, I mean, he's doing well. I absolutely love sitting next to him at assembly today. He was good entertainment.
I think he was corrupting you though, because were you one of those kids at school who, if you sat next to a naughty kid, you were easily influenced?
Maybe.
You know how I know that?
How?
Because that's literally what happened to you today at assembly. You were sitting next to Oliver and everyone's all quiet. Oliver makes some, snide comment or something, and you're sitting there laughing while everyone's quiet.
I couldn't help I got the giggles full on from one of them. He said it was very funny. He's a classic. I absolutely adore it. He can sit next to me at assembly anytime because, God, that can get boring.
Well, today's was especially long. There were so many awards, but two of our kids got awards, so that was nice to see.
Yep, we'll take that.
Love it. Very, very proud mums for sure.
God, yeah. Oh, God. And then the preps go up and sing, and we're all just that's too adorable.
They're so cute. While we were sitting at assembly, though, I got a message from one of our friends, and you've got. This is on you, by the way.
Me?
Yeah, she sent
do
me.
anything.
She sent me a Happy Friday message with a picture of The Rock.
Oh, I love that this is spreading. It's so good that's just infiltrating other spaces now.
Yeah. So thanks, Amy. I mean,
okay.
Really, that's appreciate it. And
Remind me, I have a clip to show you just to go along with that another time too.
I don't think we need to be pushing this out into the ether, but for anybody who hasn't watched our Elizabeth Holmes episode, go back and listen, because then you'll get the reference.
Yes, go The Rock.
I do have a couple of shout outs as well this week,
yes,
because we have had so much engagement across our platforms this week. I feel like every week we're saying to people, please like and subscribe and comment, and that's the best way to get our podcast out there. And we are seeing the effect of that now. So thank you guys so much. It is so, so, so much appreciated by us for getting it out there, because we're getting so many more people who we don't know who are just finding our podcast and leaving really lovely reviews.
Oh, it's so awesome. Open up a comment and see someone just comment and say, you're my new favorite podcast, or, and it's just, it makes our Fridays just so worth doing this, because it is time out of our week, and and I know that we spend time doing all this, but because we love doing it. But then to get that little bit of incentive of people actually enjoying it, and on the other end of it, it's really nice.
It's
I love
great. So thank you. The shout out in particular, and I think you just actually mentioned the exact comment. It was loving my new favorite podcast, from Nico_333. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Nico.
And I also caught up with a couple of friends on Monday night for dinner. And one of my friends, who I haven't seen in a few months, she has been listening, and she was so lovely in saying that, again, she listens every week. She takes a bit of time out for herself and listens to our podcast. So thanks, Kath. We really appreciate the support.
Oh, I love that it's your me time, to listen to us.
Yeah, I was telling Meg about how you take the potty into the sauna and have a bit of a steam away from all of life's pressures, and have a listen. So
love that. Yeah.
Love it.
Sorry
Absolutely
for that hour and a half that you're spending in the sauna, though.
I hope you take a giant bottle of water in with you.
They're getting a bit long sometimes.
Last week's episode was huge. Maria Corp. That was massive.
Yeah, that was.
That just got released. So, it won't be what you guys have just listened to. But the one that just came out this week, in the week of our record now, that was probably our longest yet. So thanks to everyone who got to the end of it.
It was worth it, though. It was worth it, because, there's some good stuff in there.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. What else has been going on with you? Have you had any other bits and bobs happening?
We're cruising along at the moment. It's downhill run to Christmas now, isn't it? Getting through. I know the kids are just exhausted, and it wears off on me.
Yeah, and it's term 4 at school. There's so much on.
Well, literally, the kids we're driving to school the other morning, and they go to me, there's a sign on the side of the road who keeps counting down on this, and it's absolutely killing me that each week as we go past this sign, it was this week, oh, Mum, look, it's 6 Fridays to Christmas. And it's piss off. I can't handle this.
Is this why you said before that you've urgently got to do some Christmas shopping this weekend? You're feeling the pressure.
I'm running out of weekends, you know, I'm like running out of like the time to do it. And it's just, well, I mean, even like the whole, you know, for school and things, that there's only 5 weeks left of school. That's really bothering me, that I've got like next year I've got a grade 2 and a grade 4, like that whole like that they move another level along, and it's just, I don't like it. They should just stay in prep forever.
I know, they're so cute when they're in prep.
Yeah, the attitude's just not great. Like, can we lose that?
Oh, it's all part of it, isn't it?
It is.
Last year I decided to wait for the Black Friday sales to do all of my Christmas shopping, and that was pretty bloody successful, I have to say. So
yeah, okay.
I'm trying the same tact this year, so for us, Black Friday's in a couple of weeks.
Okay. See, I don't keep track of it. I don't know
well,
what it is.
You know what? There's bloody sales going on everywhere. And also I didn't realise, but there was this like Singles Day. So on the 11th of the 11th, 1111.
Right.
I think this is also an American thing, but well, I'm not really sure. But the way I saw it, it's just another day to market and sell people, sell to people. But it's like the single people's Valentine's Day.
Okay.
So people buy themselves stuff. I don't know. So there were sales for that. But I've written my list, and for the things I know, for the people I know I'm buying for, that's great. But I find then the people you don't know what to buy for, you really do need to go to the shops and have a look around.
Well, that, or you know, you do online, and it's the delivery. Like, how long is it going to take to get here? And that panic, because I've had that happen. It gets that's closer and closer to Christmas, and that package still hasn't arrived.
Yeah.
That killed me one year really bad. So don't want to have that happen again.
But that's why if you do Black Friday, you've got a month basically until Christmas.
You should be right.
So I should be right in terms of delivery, and then everything else I'll just go to the shops for.
But then again, talking about deliveries, this is hilarious. So I have quite a large dog, right?
A large dog is the biggest bloody thing I've ever seen.
So I get his food delivered to the house like once every month or 6 weeks or whatever. And so it comes in a 20-kilo bag. Now, I have gates at the front of my house, and they're closed when we exit for the day. And so the delivery just gets normally put like just at their side there, just next to the gate. That's fine. It's dog food. Who's going to steal that, and 20 kilos of it at that? Like, no one's stealing it. And so that normally just gets put there. This week I saw that the doorbell gets hit, you know, and the camera comes on. I checked. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's just the dog food thing. I don't need to talk to him because they'll just put it there. The next thing I had to look back at the camera because I see the guy with this 20-kilo box of dog food looking at the gate, and then kind of like went, I'm going to try. He went to try and lift it and push it over and like throw it over the fence.
Did he know what was in it?
I assume so, yeah, because it was all like they only deliver like stuff from that store. That I would assume he knows that that's what it is.
That it's not breakable or something.
But at the same time, I'm like, that's 20 kilos you're fully going to shot put over the gate. Like,
and it's a tall gate too.
Yeah. He did back out, thank God, because I'm like, geez.
But then did he leave it?
I was worried about him. He did, yeah.
Okay, because that would be annoying if he didn't then leave it.
That was more my worry, that I was like, then don't freaking drive off again. Like,
please
that would
don't
kill
make me go to the post office to pick that up. That's annoying.
What planet are you on thinking you're going to throw that over the fence?
Oh, he was just trying to do the right thing.
I find they do some interesting things at my place with parcels. So deliveries are, I don't know, it's always nerve-wracking. Like, where's this thing going to end up?
Yeah. 99% of the time there's someone at my house. So my husband's either working from home or I'm home. And on the off chance that we're getting something like special delivered, my neighbour is often home and I can just message her and go, oh, can you quickly pick that up for me?
You don't get deliveries very often though.
Oh, only daily.
I love that you had a bit of a thing going with your neighbour where like can you get that stuff on my doorstep before Peter gets home? I had this was actually a funny story, but when we went to Bali last year, I had this like really drunken day with my mum and sister-in-law. It was so bad. I got back from that and I dropped my phone in the pool. It was so bad. It was. No, that's not bad. That is fantastic.
I had the best day. Peter took a video of me that day and I look back on
it.
I'll show it to you later.
I need to chat.
It's embarrassing because I was like, my phone fell in the pool, but whatever. Like, you know, I need a new phone anyway. Like, I just did not care about anything. But anyway, that night my phone did start working again. It all dried out and it was all fine. And you know how I know that? Because I was drunkenly buying all this stuff. Like, I don't even know, doing all this online shopping.
Oh, that's amazing.
And my neighbour messaged me and she's like, you're getting lots of packages. And I was like, am I? I don't remember ordering anything. And she took a photo of it and I was like, oh. So I look in my receipts and I'm like, oh, yep.
Oh, yeah,
right. So just did a bit of happy shopping.
Did you do good shopping?
You know what? Happy with your shopping? You know what? I really did, because I did not hold back.
Oh, I love this.
I got home from my holiday and it was like Christmas had come. It was bloody brilliant.
Credit card got a great workout.
Oh, yeah, it did. It really did.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Anyway, speaking of online, that actually ties into today's episode really well. Today we're talking about Ashley Madison.
Yeah.
So this is probably a little bit different to what, all of the other cases that we've done so far, because we're not talking about murder. We're not talking about there are some deaths
there's
involved. There's
definitely some deaths, and there's certainly people who are maybe culpable for that.
Yeah, and some criminal activity for sure. So it definitely falls under the umbrella of crime.
Yep.
But we thought, we've had a few really heavy episodes lately, so we thought we'd sort of delve into something a little different and change tact. So
for sure. And this particular case, like we were talking about the fact, like you can sort of come at it from various angles of how you might look at this. And I know there's documentaries out there, like there's a more recent Netflix one. There's one on Disney Plus. There's been a lot of that, like that sort of thing. There's been a lot of stories written in the media about it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But from very personal perspectives, from the business side of things, legalities, all that. So I'm intrigued to see where we've both gone at it from our research. So it'll be interesting what we could have come at. We'll probably have probably a little from everywhere.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so. There's a few podcasts out there around about it as well, but I actually found the stuff, the documentaries were a lot more informative.
Yeah.
In terms of what's available podcast-wise, I didn't really find that much that was any
they sort of
either
seem to focus very narrowly on an
aspect
rather than more broadly, which I think from what I think of what I've looked at, I've looked at it fairly broadly. So we might tap into a few things that you weren't aware of if you've only looked at one part of it.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm hoping we'll be able to bring a bit of extra information to everyone today.
Well, it's always a bit of extra information when you think. I love sort of delving into a little bit of the pop culture of these sorts of things too, especially a case like this where Ashley Madison had famously had a tagline of "Life is short, have an affair." And I just love that The Simpsons did a bit of a takeoff of this. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Cracks me up. So Marge Simpson starts to think that she might have a bit of an affair, and she jumps on a website named Sassy Madison with the tagline, "It's not cheating if you don't know the person well."
Okay.
Oh, that was they're very, very well done in The Simpsons. But I thought that was really gorgeous.
Love it.
Yeah.
So Ashley Madison was founded in 2001 by a man named Darren Morgenstern. He is not the main player when you read most of what's going on, but it was his idea and he started it. He and his brother actually came up with the name. Ashley and Madison were the two most popular girls' names in 2001, and they thought it sounded classy.
Okay.
Literally, that is a direct quote.
Yeah.
We thought it sounded classy. So that's how Ashley Madison, the website, got its name. Mm-hmm. What they essentially did was create an online dating website for people who are seeking out adulterous relationships. So it was set up for meeting people who were willingly wanting an extramarital affair.
Yep.
Both men and women.
Both men and women. And this was really this was sort of the starting of online dating. This was not, you look at today how many apps there are, around dating and things like that online. There's heaps. I don't even know any of them really.
Yeah.
Tinder, Hinge, I don't know. There's tons. And but at this point, this wasn't the norm by any means.
No.
So to come up with not only a dating website, but one that has quite a niche kind of market, really, that you would think of, it was an impressive idea. I
guess it's very entrepreneurial. It was launched at the beginning of that .com boom when websites kind of took off, and this so much traffic was being directed to the internet, whereas before that hadn't really been a thing.
Yeah.
So they came about it at the right time. They obviously had an idea that appealed to a lot of people. And, at the start it was a little bit slow to get off the mark. But in 2004, they brought on a new CEO named Noel Biderman.
Well, I think 2007 he came in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he really changed the landscape and drove the website to being what it was known as when it all... well, even to this day, actually.
Yeah. So Noel Biderman, he graduated from Osgood Hall Law School. He began his career as a lawyer. So he represented, it was more of a sports agent. He represented NBA players, NFL, all these sorts of people, even some Olympians, Canadian Olympians. You know, that was where his bread and butter was.
Can I just ask, why do you think he went from being a sport agent, which I know is a really lucrative career, to then... I don't know, taking on this role as a CEO. Look, I can understand wanting to be a CEO of a company. That's completely fair.
Yeah.
But a CEO of something so salacious when you had...
Well, I think it was just one of many things he was tapping into in the business world.
Okay.
He worked at companies like Interperformances Inc., Home Stores Inc., Jump TV. So he was branching out into...
Right.
quite a bit of different styles of, like, I think, you know, that entrepreneurial side of things, you know, and I think marketing was really his jam.
It was.
Yeah. So he became the CEO of Avid Life Media, which was the parent company to Ashley Madison. But this guy he's completely shameless. Like, I don't know how else to describe
He's an
him.
absolute piece of shit. He is. He's horrible. An early quote from him.
Yeah.
So this quote's in relation to like wives gaining weight, right?
Yeah.
This is a direct quote to wives gaining weight. It's a legitimate reason for husbands to seek sex outside marriage.
Yeah. But that was who he was someone who was a walking bloody headline. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and he used that to his advantage to promote Ashley Madison.
He had
That was
no
his whole
shame.
shtick. So basically, his whole idea was that any publicity is good publicity, you know. And so it was. He put up these incredibly offensive, big banners, you know, that like people would then. It wasn't the fact of putting the cost up of putting up this, you know, billboard. It was then the talk that went on after it about taking it down. You know?
Yeah.
It was so there was actually at one stage he was on the Tyra Banks show. Do you remember
I
that show?
saw. Okay, loved it.
Yeah.
I have seen this clip though.
Yeah, but I mean, he put himself in that position where he was going to be, you know, treated pretty poorly, but he knew that would create talk. So there was a guy on the Tyra Banks show whose wife had an affair, and he blamed the website. So he went on that show to literally have this guy want to beat the shit out of him, like, you know, and so, but that created more media hype and more talk. So,
and also their whole thing is people are going to cheat anyway. We've just given them a way to do it, the facility to do it. That, you know, we're not creating cheaters is his thing.
Yeah, which is
cheaters already exist. Well, you know, access is everything, right?
Yeah.
If you're a drug addict and you have access to drugs, great. If you don't,
maybe you'll get clean.
Yeah. So it's providing opportunity. I see, obviously there's a need because they had so many subscribers. We'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's still created that opportunity for people. So, I mean, that's his moral compass and whatever.
Absolutely.
That's fine.
So there was a guy in 2008, there was the governor of New York, Elliot Spitzer. So he was caught paying for sex. He was known as a family man, you know, all this sort of stuff. But he got caught paying for sex, basically. So what this Noel Biderman did was he took out a full-page ad in the New Yorker and
which would have cost a bomb.
Absolutely. So he took out the full-page ad, and it was a letter to Elliot Spitzer saying, basically, "Dear Elliot, why pay for sex when you could have just come onto our website and not got caught?"
The whole thing. I mean, that is genius.
Oh. Much as I hear what you're saying in terms of he's a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit, but he's a genius.
Moral compass is totally whack.
Yeah.
But his marketing
He's
strategy
so
was
clever.
So clever.
So clever.
Yeah.
He also came up with a tagline that was something along the lines of when monogamy becomes monotony.
Yes.
And he's like, that one didn't work because people thought we were talking about wood, like mahogany. I'm like, well, you were talking about wood in a sense.
In a way. I love that. Love it.
He is.
But he brought his wife into this stuff too. So his wife was on one of the billboards they put up saying like, and I think it was the words were like, your wife might be hot, but so are ours. Like, and there's a picture of his wife on there. Like, and that she'd go onto the interviews as well. Yeah,
he'd parade her around. Yeah. There was some really uncomfortable stuff around that though, because you see her sitting there next to him and they tout that they've got this absolutely perfect marriage, and
we don't cheat.
He doesn't cheat because he's got the perfect wife, and you can tell she's been coached to within an inch of her life as to what to say in these interviews. And again, he's a marketing genius, so he's come up with really great answers, and she's really well prepped. Yeah. I find a lot of those interviews so uncomfortable to watch because, I mean, knowing what we know, and again, we will get to this, but it's like he's parading her out going, see, like I'm perfect, I'm fine, but you guys can all go off there and have your little affairs.
Yeah. And I don't need to have an affair because we're so perfect. Everyone else who has issues in their marriage, you should have an affair.
Yeah. Ashley Madison, they prided themselves sort of external facing, prided themselves on being discreet and private. So their whole promise to the people who signed up to the website was, this is secret. Yeah. Nobody will ever find out about this. Yeah. They had really funny ways of keeping it that way. So they used people would subscribe to the website. Yeah. As a male, you had to pay to engage on the website. As a female, you didn't. Great subscription model because you need women. Yep. And women are less likely to sign up for these things. So to incentivize them to do so, for women, it's free. Mm-hmm. For men, they paid on a credit basis. So in order to send a message on the website, so it was free to create a profile, but in order to send a message on the website, you had to buy credits. If you wanted to chat with somebody, each message you sent was worth a credit. Mm-hmm. So say you have a message conversation with somebody, that could be 50 credits. Yeah. It could be 20 credits. If you wanted to have a live conversation with that person, it was double the amount of credits.
Wow.
So if, say we happened to be online at the same time and we wanted to have a live chat, double the amount of credits. Yeah. An incredible amount of money was being had. In 2004, they had 240,000 users. Yeah. 2007, which is when Noel Biderman started, they had about 1.2 million. By 2012, 15 million. Yeah, by 2015, 37 million active users.
Absolutely.
And what was the
Yeah.
What was the percent? Well, what was the percentage though that were men? It was over 75%. So, again,
I've got the figures here. So in 2015, there were 27.5 million males online, and there were 4 million female members. Okay. So, 95% roughly were male. Okay. And that 5% that were female, we'll come to.
Yes.
So just going back a little bit to 2010, when they had 7 million members at this point. Yep. Another one of his tactics with his marketing was at this point in time. Do you remember Tiger Woods famously had an affair? Yes. And his wife, remember that? So he was trying to. The way it sort of was exposed to the public was that he was trying to get out of his house, and she was beating the car with a golf club. Yep. And he crashed his car and everything. Right? It was all over the news that this happened. Everyone knew about it. Absolutely. And now at this point, all of Tiger Woods sponsors and stuff were very ooh, don't know if I want to go near that. So he was kind of becoming this bit of a taboo to be, linked to him. So what does Noel Biderman do? Goes directly to Tiger Woods and offers him $5 million to be the face of Ashley Madison. Now, Tiger Woods said no, to his credit, but it wasn't the fact of even him saying yes or no to that. The fact that it was out in the media that this was an offer that was being put to him was enough to publicise the website, that Tiger Woods was doing something that you could do too. So he was, in some ways, a marketing genius.
He really was. Yeah. I'm not denying that at all.
So 2012, the company revenue was $71 million. Mm-hmm. In 2013, they were looking at, we want to increase that more. So they found a way to do that. They had to look at their model and what was going on. And so this is $71 million is a massive amount of money, but how can we continue to grow this? And as you were saying, only men paid to speak on the website, to, communicate on the website, but there weren't enough women on the website for them to communicate with. So this is where they came up with this idea to create these fembots. So a
It
fembot,
just reminds me of Austin
Powers.
Powers.
So these fembots were basically
and they're like machine gun nipples. Yeah, sorry, go. Sorry, keep going.
God, childish. Sorry. Yeah, so they created these fake female profiles to spark men to spend more money, like so that they were having these beautiful women, with these profiles set up that they would then communicate to men who would then go, oh, I want to, I'll talk to her and start the communication. So they were spending more credit. So by the end of 2013, there were 22,000 fembots created on the website.
So I saw figures like that, right?
Yeah.
How did that then translate when these men wanted to meet up with these faux women?
So we'll get to that. So in 2014, the company revenue grew using these fembots. They went from 71 mil back in 2012 to $180 million revenue in just 2 years by adding these fembots to the website, which is just insane. So by the time we hit 2015, there are hundreds of thousands of fake female profiles. So even though, as we said before, what those figures were of like 95% of being male and 5% being female, even that 5% being female, there were not many genuine possibilities of hookups, basically, because it was fake profiles that were communicating with these men.
I think I saw somewhere that there were something like 220,000 fembots.
Yep.
At any one time, and they were communicating with. I mean, they could communicate with like as many men as were engaging with them.
Men were getting like, and this we'll move to this next bit where what they would get was like 5 women would all of a sudden communicate with this one man with the exact same message.
Yeah.
So men were starting to pick onto this in about 2015. There was a real this isn't right. They were tweaking. It took them a while. They enjoyed it for a little bit, but then realised that
these beautiful women all want me.
So what one man did was he set up a website by the name of AshleyMadisonSucks.com.
Yeah.
So basically the website was men coming on there to complain about Ashley Madison and the experiences they were having on that website. But Ashley Madison were not happy about this at all. Because this was not the any publicity is good publicity working for them model that they had. This was genuinely people going, I wouldn't use that website. It's
and
shit.
Also they were catching them out doing something that illegal. They shouldn't have been doing.
It's deceptive. Mm-hmm. It's not right. So Ashley Madison were not okay with this and actually initiated a lawsuit against the website. However, there's nothing illegal around having a complaints website about something that, especially when they weren't. It wasn't slander because it was truth. These were people's experiences on the website, so there was actually nothing illegal about it. And the owner of that website then started getting quite a lot of threats via email, all these sorts of things, to the point where him and his then girlfriend were quite scared and they ended up moving house because they weren't feeling safe. They were to that level. All of a sudden, though, this one day, Noel Biderman actually calls the owner of the website, and he to his credit, he immediately hit record and recorded the message. So you can actually find that recording of that phone call and listen, and it's pretty disgusting. So Noel Biderman does not hold back at all.
Yeah.
He's very much like, you must take this website down. This is not on, and he's. But what he does is I think the owner of the website actually says to him, is it you that's been sending me these abusive messages? To which Noel Biderman, he completely denied, but then said, but if you don't take the website down, I will fucking kill you.
Yep.
You kind of like, well, is it him? Quite possibly.
Of course it's him. I mean, even if it's not him personally, he's directed that.
He's directing someone to do that, which we can get to. So basically, though, at the end of all of that, what happens eventually is that Ashley Madison end up purchasing AshleyMadisonSucks.com off of them. I think in the data leak, this all came out, and I think it was only for about $10,000. But
I thought it was
might have been more in the end.
I thought it was something around $50,000.
Yeah, right.
So it wasn't an insignificant amount of money, but it was like he probably could have gotten him for way more.
Oh, I would have thought. Yeah,
it would have. It was within their It was within their best interest to have the website taken down. I think they would have paid way more than that.
Well,
but anyway.
I love what he did though. He didn't take it down.
No,
he expanded it. and made it a review site. And I love how they changed the banner on it. Instead of saying Ashley Madison sucks, it was Ashley Madison sucks, ?
Yeah.
And then they actually filtered out and flushed out sort of all the negative by overpowering it with positive reviews as well. So that, they didn't remove the negative ones, but it sort of overpowered it by these, you might have had a bad experience, but all these other people had good experiences. Again, marketing genius.
For sure.
So basically, at this stage also, they're heading towards putting the company public as well. So there's a lot going on for Ashley Madison in terms of how well it's doing. I think it was almost looking at being like $1 billion company at that point. And
it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's when they were putting it on the stock exchange.
Yep. It was valued at $1 billion.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's impressive. Absolutely. Yeah. But July 12th, when it comes along, and a Monday morning in 2015, and the workers at Ashley Madison start their day and open up their laptops to find a message. Would you like me to read it to you?
Yes.
It said, "We are the Impact team. We have taken over all systems in your entire office, all customers' databases, financial records, emails. Shutting down Ashley Madison will cost you, but non-compliance will cost you more. We will release all customer secret sexual fantasies, nude pictures, real names, addresses. Avid Life Media will be liable for fraud and extreme harm to millions of users." They gave them 30 days to shut down the website. Wouldn't you just stress?
Oh, you would shit yourself.
Oh, yeah.
But also, when Noel Biderman came on board, he employed one of his friends by the name of Evan Back as the VP of sales.
Yes.
This man, you can see him in the Ashley Madison documentary on Netflix. He's the guy with the glasses. He clearly states in that so he's been employed. He's never really used a computer before. They've paid him back in 2004. 2007. They've paid him $100,000 plus 10% like shares.
10%.
Yeah,
yeah,
massive.
$1 billion company.
Yep. And he says that the promise of security at Ashley Madison was something we said, not something we did. So they would be shitting themselves.
Well, there was a whole...
knowing that they weren't actually protecting people's data.
No.
They had no extra anything in place. They were just saying that they did.
They had that subscription level of a full delete subscription.
Yeah.
Which didn't do any... Like, people were fully paying for something that wasn't even occurring.
Yeah, so in order to delete your profile, this was another genius thing they did.
Yeah.
If you wanted to fully delete your profile and they said they deleted all your data, they didn't.
Yeah.
You had to pay $19.95, say.
Which you would expect. I mean, today's day, like that just should be a standard. You don't pay for that. If I delete my account, you delete my account.
Yeah, but I also totally get why they did what they did. They had people over a barrel. They were collecting so much personal information. They got people to decide, like they put their height, weight, age, kinks, things, sexual fantasies and preferences in there. Yeah, I'd want that friggin' deleted forever too if I was deleting my profile.
Yeah.
That, even just shutting down accounts brought the business $2 million odd in revenue a year.
Yeah.
Just to shut down accounts. So for doing nothing, and they were literally doing nothing. It's not like they were actually deleting this data.
No,
just going back to the credit side of things, it cost men $149 to buy 50 credits, and you had to spend a credit to send a message.
Wow.
So that shows how expensive it was. It's $3 a message.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just to write back oh, good.
Hey,
how
how's
are you?
it going? Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd want to be getting to the point pretty bloody quickly. Hey, let's meet at this place this time. I'll see you there.
Yeah, yeah. So no wonder like the fembots created such a big revenue for them.
Absolutely.
They would keep them on the tag of like for longer and longer to and this guy on the other end's probably going like, well, if I keep responding, I might get further and might be able to get her. Yeah, it's crazy.
At what point are these men going like, some of these bots, you see the photos of the women, they are stunning.
Yeah, and that's what some of them were complaining about on
the
website, kind of going, these aren't real. Like,
yeah, surely not.
And that good's not actually messaging me.
Yeah. So some of them passed the sniff test, others didn't.
No. Oh gosh.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So the breach comes, the data breach, or the impact team have made contact. And Ashley Madison, or their parent Avid Life Media, are shitting themselves.
Well, yeah. So they are not in a good place. Like, they are hunting everywhere and anywhere. Like, what can they do to stop this? How have they been able to access this? Who could it possibly be? And all these sorts. This is growing. So apparently the officers were just mental at this point. But only a week in, so they've got 30 days. Though. I mean, that's that's a good amount of time. They weren't being. I mean, they clearly knew what they had. I think these persons, they had the data. They were going to release it, but they've given them 30 days to make the decision of what they're going to do. It wasn't like they were like, tomorrow we're going to release it.
Yep.
They gave them a massive amount of time to get their shit together and make a decision on what was going to happen. But after only 1 week of that, a guy by the name of Brian Krebs, who was a cybersecurity reporter, or still is, he basically one of the most well-respected reporters around this kind of side of technology. He was a New Yorker. So he was contacted directly by the hackers.
The impact
team, which is really unusual. So at this point, obviously, this is not public knowledge that, this hack is potential.
No, Ashley Madison haven't.
Anywhere, obviously.
And nor have the impact team.
And in my mind, I would think that you wouldn't want it out in the public at all. Like, this would be the worst thing you would want to have happen. So as long as they can keep that under the wraps, and hopefully within the next 30 days they can, avoid this occurring, basically is the plan here, you would think.
Well, I think Ashley Madison's plan was to figure out who it was and take them down.
That's right. And then that happens, and then this, none of those data gets released, and therefore the people who could have been impacted never even knew it was even a possibility.
Yep.
That would be in an ideal world in their minds. So this Krebs guy, he gets an email directly from the hackers, and in it were links to snippets, little bits of some of the stuff that they have on them. So they literally, there was a couple of the links that he went to. He was like, okay, this is full on. Like, if they've got this, that's bad. Like, but being a genuine journalist, he can't just go and report on this. He needs to confirm that this is legit and that the company is aware of it and all these sorts of things. So one of the links he clicks on actually had a list of all the employees of the company. And at the very top of that list was the CEO. And it had his email address, his phone number, everything. So this guy goes, oh, well, I'll take a pot here and dial the CEO's number and see if he'll talk to me and see if we can confirm this. So you would think, though, if there's a reporter who rings the CEO of the company when this shit's going down, that he would deny. He did not.
Nope.
It was a 3 to 4 minute conversation where Biderman basically said, look, yep, this is going on. We know who it is. We reckon we know who it is, but we're just trying to work out how we're going to go about this. It's clearly someone who's had access, unfortunately still has access. He put it all on the table where they were at. He did not flinch at saying what was going on, which I find really interesting.
Yeah, I was about to say, do you find that bizarre? I found that detail really bizarre because he is a marketing genius.
Yeah.
What was his, why did he think,
there?
what was the benefit of doing so, especially so early on? Because they still didn't really know. Well, in fact, they absolutely didn't know what they were dealing with and what the outcome was actually going to be. Because at the start, they thought this was just a threat.
Yeah.
They thought, oh, there's no way. And then it was once they had, because they had some really clever people working for them, that they figured out days later, oh, actually, this is possible. Our security isn't actually. I mean, they knew their security wasn't great, but they realised just how great their security wasn't.
They weren't able to get them out of the system too.
That's it. There was nothing they could really do. No. These hackers, or hacktivists, as I've heard them called, really had infiltrated their systems, and they had no way of teasing that out and getting them out.
And what this journalist then, what he had received already was stuff that he then could confirm for them, this is bad for you. Like, he knew what he was looking at.
Yeah.
And he's like, if they've got this and been able to send me this, you're in the shit. So I guess they both were confirming for each other. But yeah, I just don't understand as a CEO why you wouldn't go no comment. And totally not allow then for him to be able to report something yet.
Totally.
But let him have it. And so what did he do? That exact night, he wrote his article stating what was going on over at Ashley Madison. And the next day, 20th of July, the media is a storm of this story.
Yeah.
It is huge. It is worldwide news. I mean, I actually remember this happening.
So do I. I remember it as well. The other thing is, I think we haven't even touched on this yet. We've been talking about it being sort of Canadian, US. This was in 50 countries, 70 different languages. This was all around the world in countries like Saudi Arabia where adultery is illegal. In fact, it's punishable by death.
Yeah.
You know, the implications of this were massive.
Yeah.
The gravity of that had not yet sunk in. And I don't even know that, especially the reporting of it, that they would have even had time or the wherewithal to consider the impacts of getting this out there.
Well, I certainly don't think that someone like Noel Biderman ever considered that.
No, well, he even if he did consider it, he didn't care.
No, he did not give a shit around the people who could be impacted by that at all. No.
Yeah.
I mean, the setting up of the website even says that.
Yeah. I mean, they were active, as in Ashley Madison was active in India, where there were a lot of arranged marriages. And it says, we know your marriage is arranged, but let us arrange your affair.
Oh, yeah, right.
And so, and which, again, it is incredibly frowned upon in a lot of countries where Christianity and, you know, Catholicism and you know, it was so ingrained. Oh, the impact is absolutely unknown.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's still only a threat. Like, you know, it's so there's people around the world panicking, going, I'm on that website.
Shit.
Oh, God, what am I going to do? And so even the threat of it now getting out into the world is enough for people to be in fairly – look, I'm on the fence a little bit of like sympathy in terms of the person who was on the website, you know, that they've put themselves in that position. But yeah, it's impacting so many people.
Overnight, they lost something like 2.4 million users who paid to delete their accounts.
Yeah, too late.
It was too late, number one, but also we already know that whenever people deleted accounts, it didn't actually delete anything. But it goes to show that 2.4 million people acted immediately going, holy fuck.
Get me the hell out of there. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the Netflix documentary, they go into quite a few stories specifically around people that this impacted. But that was only such a small amount. I remember there was a radio station here in Australia as well who tapped into this and like was, you know, searching databases and things for people. But
yeah, people were calling in and saying to this Australian radio station and saying to find out whether their partner was on there, on the list or not.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. But even just before it even got released, the data, like that, the level of anxiety for people was very extreme.
Yeah.
So anyway, we come to August 18th and then again on August 20th, actually, there was 2 dumps of data.
Yeah.
The press release from the Impact team again came out, and this time it said, time's up. Avid Life Media has failed to take down Ashley Madison. We have explained the fraud, deceit and stupidity of ALM and their members. Now everyone gets to see the data. Find someone you know in here. Keep in mind the site is a scam with thousands of fake female profiles. See Ashley Madison fake profile lawsuit. 90 to 95% of actual users are male. Chances are your man is signed up on the world's biggest affair site but never had one. He just tried to, if that distinction matters. Find yourself in here? Well, they almost failed you and lied to you. Prosecute them and claim damages. Then move on with your life. Learn your lesson and make amends. Embarrassing now, but you'll get over it. And then the torrent file was attached.
Yeah, so they released it through a BitTorrent forum on the dark web in a compressed file. So the file was like 10 gigabytes, but it contained something like 60 to 70 gigabytes worth of data in that second dump. The first dump, I think, was roughly 10 in and of itself.
My understanding of a torrent is the more it gets opened, the more it gets spread. Yep. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Peter.
I've written down some information about it, but I don't know enough about it to explain it. But basically, they put the information out there that it was accessible to people. The more people then decrypted it, then obviously the information was out there and anyone could access these lists essentially.
And then what people were doing was creating websites with the data so that it was searchable, so that you weren't just looking at, you know, because there's 37 million people on that website. You can't, so you have to search through going, my name.
Scroll down.
Keep scrolling. It was then searchable. People were making it searchable, which I mean,
and it had... So they did release everything they said they were going to release.
Yeah.
They released people's full names, addresses, email addresses,
Sexual
their sexual
preferences.
preferences, so all of that information was put out there.
Yeah.
Avid Life Media released a statement. Have you read this statement?
No.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, read it to me.
At this time, we have been able to secure our sites. Not true.
Nope.
And close the unauthorised access points. Also not true.
Nope.
We are working with law enforcement agencies which are investigating this criminal act. Any and all parties responsible for this act of cyber terrorism will be held responsible. Using the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, DMCA, our team has now successfully removed the posts related to this incident, as well as all personally identifiable information about our users published online. None of that was true.
What? That's crazy. How did they get away with that?
I don't know, but this then formed part of the lawsuit against them because none of that was true. They were working to try to do that, but the information had already been leaked and they knew what the hackers had access to. They knew what had been tapped into.
Yeah. That's just crazy.
Just going back a little bit because I found this part of the story really interesting. Before all this happened, let's just say a husband's been on Ashley Madison and a wife finds a credit card transaction that she doesn't know what it's for. And some of these men, like I've seen credit card transactions when I was looking into this where they have, multiple $150, $149 charges in a day because they're buying that many credits to have these conversations, right?
Oh,
So
wow.
wives are then looking at credit card statements, ringing up the company. They go through a separate sort of payment portal company.
Yeah.
Staffed by Ashley Madison.
Yeah.
They'd ring up the customer service and basically say, what are these charges for? These are unauthorized. And they would say, oh, we're a third party. We take payments for lots of different organizations. We actually can't identify what these charges are for.
Yeah.
Or you're not the bill holder. We cannot discuss this with you. If the wives then called back with the husbands on the phone.
Yep. Which they did
because they were like, no, there's something obviously wrong here. We've had all these charges that we haven't paid for.
And he'd be playing along going,
what's going on?
What's going on our credit card?
To Ashley Madison's credit again, they would reverse the charges. They'd be like, oh, we're so sorry. That was absolutely taken in error. Let us reverse the charges. Then on the other hand, they'd get back on the phone with the husband and go, get us a new credit card, dude, because otherwise you're in arrears. You can't, you cut off. And they would. They'd go and get a credit card behind their wives' backs and
that is
started
so
again.
Dodgy that was their business model, like I mean, oh my God.
I know.
It blows your mind, doesn't it?
It blows your mind.
Can you imagine, I just can't imagine getting a job and going, so when people come up and query their bill, you just need to lie about things and back the husband, basically.
Yeah. And there were so many women working in customer service. It sits so uncomfortably with me.
Oh, this is it. Where's the sisterhood?
Yeah.
I just can't. I don't know how, this whole story is all of it, just the ethical side of it really gets me.
Same.
And that's where I say, I sit on the fence around this whole, who are the victims here and how sorry I feel for a person whose name was leaked. Because, that's crap. You should have your data should have been protected as it was promised to you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you were doing something that was really fucked up.
Absolutely. Let's get into a few of the names that were leaked.
Yes.
This is my favourite bit. There were quite a few really well-known people whose names were exposed. The most prominent of which, or one of the first released. So in that first data dump, this person was released, and that was Josh Duggar of 19 Kids and Counting fame. So he's the eldest son of Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar. Oh my God, we could do. In fact, you know what? We should do an episode about it then, because what an absolutely fucked up.
I have to be honest. I've never got my head fully around that whole shit show.
Let me just tell you, Josh Duggar.
Yeah, I've heard bits, but the
Duggars are devout fundamentalist Christians, but they've started their own church essentially or worship with another family, and then that's grown to be what it is today. They live by really old-fashioned, outdated values, like women must wear skirts below their knee. Women are not to basically be educated. They work in the home. They look after the children. The men go out and earn the money. Oh, there's so many problematic things.
Yep.
Josh Duggar, in and of himself, is so problematic. As a teenager, it later came out that he had been sexually abusing 5 girls, 4 of whom were his sisters. So the show's called 19 Kids and Counting because these people have 19 kids because
they don't believe in contraception.
They don't believe in contraception, and they, any child that God bestows upon them is a blessing. So they've got 19 children.
Oh, yep.
Josh.
2 is freaking enough.
Oh, I know, right? I can barely manage the 2 that we've got. Josh, as I said, as a teenager, sexually abusing his sisters, 4 of his sisters, and a family friend. He married a woman by the name of Anna, and they have gone on to have 7 children of their own.
Oh, God. Wow.
So months before the Ashley Madison scandal arose, he was interviewed by police about the molestation when he was a teenager. At the time of, not a lot happened at that time point in terms of him then receiving consequences for that. That actually came a little bit later, although he was never actually convicted of any of those crimes.
Oh, really?
At the time of the Ashley Madison data breach, he admitted to adultery and issued a public apology on the family's website, on the Duggar family website. It was woefully inadequate.
Yeah. Well, what would be enough, to be honest? It just...
He remained married to Anna. I think they actually went on and had another...
Oh.
So I think at that time they might have had 5 kids. They've gone on to have another couple.
Oh, Jesus.
This piece of shit is currently serving 151 months in prison after pleading guilty to a charge of receipt and possession of child pornography in 2021. So that just gives you...
Stop.
Oh, no, it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop at all.
Awful.
At the time, he was trying to get into Congress or something. Like he was doing something in Washington. And obviously this completely derailed that because the fundamentalist Christians were like, oh, no, we are not. We are not. Even though
I was going to say
it's so problematic as a thing, but they distance themselves from him publicly.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Yep, good. So he's one. We then have, I know you love these guys, Sam and Nia. So they were on the, again, Christians. Isn't this an interesting thing? They have a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
2.5 million subscribers. It is, rakes it in for them. They are on the Netflix documentary.
So interesting.
So weird. So their YouTube channel became incredibly popular after I Know You Hate This. And it is so gross, and I get it.
Can't handle it.
After Sam, the husband, revealed to his wife that she was pregnant. Do you want to get into that? Should we discuss that now? Because I don't feel like there's going to be an episode in that otherwise.
Oh, God, no way. I wouldn't. So, basically, he was an ED nurse, or I think at the time.
Yeah.
So he got this grand idea that since I think they already had at least one child at that stage, if not 2. Yeah,
they had 2
children at this stage. And he was like, "Oh, wouldn't it be amazing for me to be able to, surprise her that she was pregnant with the child that she's carrying in her body?" Like, so he decided that since he quite often does this, in his work because, women rock up to ED with symptoms or something, and then he's the one who sort of goes to the woman and says, oh, well, the reason you're feeling this way, you're actually pregnant, congratulations. He was like, oh, wouldn't it be amazing if I can do that for my wife? So she, and I don't know, I sort of do query whether or not this is legit. I have no judgment that she doesn't flush her toilet overnight because she's got small children and a small house.
They lived in a small house,
yep. That does not faze me in the slightest. If that's what they do, no, you don't want to wake up your kids. God, if that was something that was going to wake your children up, just don't flush the toilet overnight.
Totally.
Do what you do. You got to do. But he collected the urine in the toilet, which to me then it's watered down.
Yeah, to be very dilute. Well, I just think, look, if she was pretty far along, then okay, you'd still potentially get a reading.
How far along that she would know herself then? Like,
well,
she
in that video. So I watched it last night again because I just wanted it fresh in my mind for today. It's so fucking cringeworthy.
Yes,
it's horrendous, as my sister-in-law would say. It's gross. Like it's just it makes me cringe.
Nah.
He puts the pregnancy test into the toilet and he's like, oh, I'm so excited to tell her.
I'm so excited.
And she doesn't believe him at the start. She thinks he's brought home a pregnancy test from work from somebody who was pregnant because according to him, she'd, I think, phoned him the night before and said, oh, I just realised my period's 2 weeks late. But it all doesn't add up. Like, I think it's staged. But this made them, this episode or whatever you call it of their, this YouTube video that they've uploaded, that's what got their start. Yeah. They'd been making videos and things were going okay.
Oh, the one prior to that was them singing Frozen songs in the car or something that had gone a bit viral as well.
Yeah, and this kind of like off the back of that really hit
exploded.
It home.
Yeah, which I think a lot of it was a little bit of Noel Biderman style, you know, people being like, what? Like, that's not right. Like, yeah. And so a lot of that, I think, what exploded them. Yeah. Not so much people going, oh, man, this is amazing.
But their channel was based on the fact that they were a really good, solid Christian family. And, you know, and touted all of the Christian values. When the Ashley Madison thing comes about or, is exposed, who's on there? Whose name's on there?
Yeah.
Sam. And it turns out he'd been cheating on her for their whole relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking gross.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And he like, at first he only gave her a little bit of information. Like he was like, oh, no, I was only on there for a little bit of time and then it blew up. And then he gave her a little bit more information. Oh, actually I was on there for longer. And because I think there was a bit of information came out in the first dump for him. And then on the second dump, there was more detail. Yeah. And so he's had to confess again of like more to it.
Yeah. So on the first dump, I think he said, I've never cheated on you. Yes, I'm on the up. I've never cheated on you. And I have been to a massage parlour. That was his first bit.
Right.
Then after that, he admitted to going to strip clubs and having extramarital affairs with women he'd met on the site. They are still together to this day. And watch the Netflix documentary. How she can forgive him, I mean, I guess that's within her faith to forgive and to stay with him. I cannot even.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was like, I rolled and I realised I'm being filmed. I was like, I can't. Like, yeah.
Look, as you said before, to each their own. But for me, it's a hard no.
How do you trust after that? I don't. He made out as if I'm a changed man. Like what? Just because you got caught, that changes you?
Yeah, totally.
Sorry, that's not good enough to me. Like, no,
fuck off. There was also a man by the name of Josh Takeman. So his wife, Kristen, is on The Real Housewives of New York.
Oh, now I just twigged who that was. Yes. Right.
So he was the eBoost founder. So really incredibly wealthy. Yeah. And, you look at them like, again, a really solid family. They have a couple of kids and they're so wealthy and you think they've got this perfect life and you look at them on The Real Housewives and you think, oh, they are that.
Yeah.
They're everything you want them to be. He claims that I love the excuses. There's so many. But he claims that he signed up with friends on a drunken night and he never used the website.
Oh, yeah,
whatever. Good on ya. Nice try.
Yeah.
Hunter Biden, who is Joe Biden's son, so current serving US president, almost soon to not be. I can't even comment on that. He denied ever creating an account and he said that somebody used an account in his, without him knowing about it. Look, it has been shown, we're unable to prove any of this.
Yeah.
But you never had to verify your email. So I could have used meg.arnold at Hotmail.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to verify that email in order to then start using the site. So there is a possibility that emails have been used.
Random emails
where they find that people were right is that people use their real addresses and real given names and surnames and other verifying information.
They trusted that the data wouldn't be
was secure.
Yeah.
So in this, I think in Hunter Biden's case,
there's a possibility.
I think it's actually a fairly certain thing that his account was used in error, or as in a fraudulent way.
Yeah.
And he said it was one of his really old emails that he hadn't used for a long time.
And how old would he have been at that point? Because, he's not. How old would he be?
Oh, no, I think he was well into his late 20s at the time.
Yeah, right. Okay. Married?
I don't know, actually.
Yeah. I'm just thinking who I'm picturing, and going, well, maybe he wasn't even married.
Possibly not then.
Yeah, which then, if he wants to go on a dating site,
yeah, I guess. But then why would you sign up to Ashley Madison? You just sign up so maybe he was married.
Yeah.
But then, as I said, things have come about that his probably wasn't a legitimate one.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton's brother, however, Tony Rodham.
Yep.
He also had an implication there. He also denies it, but I think there's some fairly substantiating evidence there to state that he was on the site actively.
Uh-huh.
There were over 15,000 US government email addresses leaked with a .gov or .mil.
Why would you use your work email?
.gov or .mil address, so military or government.
Get a freaking Hotmail or Gmail account, people.
Oh, for God's... And a fake one? Like one that you don't use for literally anything else? You fucking idiots.
Oh, my God.
Florida State Attorney Jeff Ashton, who he was actually the prosecutor on the Casey Anthony trial, which is another case we do not have that on our list, but I need to add it.
Yep.
He says that he signed up because he was curious.
Curious about what, mate?
Yep. Jason Doré, the executive director of the Republican Party of Louisiana, signed up. He was later, after this was exposed and proven that he was active on the site, hired by Trump's first administration as chief counsel for external affairs. So
it's probably minor in terms of things that some people in that party have done. So why not?
I guess, yeah.
Let's not get into that.
They're sort of like, no, let's not. I mean, oh no. I don't have the mental capacity for that today.
No.
So they're just some of the more notable people who were exposed on the site. But there
was just regular, next door neighbours.
Well, most people were.
Yeah. And on that, I mean, it wasn't just, that their marriages then were breaking down potentially. They lost their jobs. People lost their lives. People did commit suicide over this, But there were also people who were being extorted and blackmailed. So they literally, people were searching through the database, finding out, and you could find the person's email address and their contact details by doing that. And they were contacting them and saying, I've found you on the Ashley Madison website. I will expose this to your business, your wife, all this, if you don't send me X amount of dollars. So people were being put in awful situations, even just, your regular Joe Blow, like awful. I mean, to take people already in shit situations and then adding to that and blackmailing people is just so disgusting. Like they've got to be the scum of the earth. Like,
yeah.
Yep,
absolutely.
There was one other person who, though, ended up getting caught up in all of this again because the third message was sent by the Impact team.
Yep.
And this one was directed at Noel Biderman, solely Noel Biderman. And the message was, hey, Noel, you can admit it. It is real now. And then with that, they released all of his emails.
Oh, my God. Isn't this and this is salacious. This is like...
So these emails, they didn't just... They revealed so much. They revealed a whole lot of stuff that was illegal that was going on within the company. So that's where the fembot stuff really was exposed. As much as people were talking about it and saying it was happening and that it seemed like, yeah, that's what's going on, this confirmed it. There was absolute evidence that they could use in a court case to say the fembot thing was real and that Noel Biderman fully knew about it.
Yeah.
So that was definitely all there. What else was there, though, was also exposing his own infidelities. And they were infidelities, like more than one, well and truly. So he was doing exactly what all these patrons of his company were doing too. So
I just feel so sorry for his wife. Like they're
still together.
Yeah, but again, we're going back to this coercive control thing that we mentioned. It comes up far too often in the episodes that we go through. She got told what to say, how to parade herself around. She's probably been told that this isn't a big deal and she needs to get over it, and she's had a wonderful life and she's, been able to experience all of the luxuries that him being involved with this website have afforded, because it absolutely, they are so rich.
Yeah.
So filthy rich.
And I mean, that's what's really shit about this. So this has all been exposed about him, like the illegal things he's been doing and the shit things he's been doing to his wife, which he then resigns from the company. But yeah, he walks away with really not a scratch on him in terms of, any impact financially or anything like that. He walked away having made a bucket load of money.
Personally.
Yeah, personally from that situation.
Absolutely. There was a lawsuit brought about the parent company,
yes,
which was renamed Ruby Corp after all of this came out. there were 24 lawsuits against them in total, stemming from the breach.
Yeah.
And it resulted in a payout across the 24 lawsuits of $11.2 million. Like, it's nothing.
Well, what happened with that was that it was a class action suit where there were 42 members of that class action. And in the process of this, the judge ruled that if the claimants wanted to proceed, they must not be anonymous. So that meant that the number of claimants dropped the minute that happened. So that dropped from 42 down to only 18 claimants. So that 11.2 million had to go between 18 people. And in relation to how much that company made, it's a freaking drop in the ocean, isn't it? It doesn't mean anything. So that company did not even bleed at all. Like, that meant nothing to them. It didn't matter. Even though they lost the case, they just continued. It didn't stop them doing anything.
Not even close. I mean, the website is still active to this day and has
very much so.
It's got a very healthy subscription base still.
Yes. I've got a few figures. To this day, it's still active. So Ernst & Young were employed to do a study of the membership base, and what they found was currently the membership base is far more 50-50 female-male ratio. And generally members are incredibly happy with the security level, but it's almost like a false level of security because they believe that because of the hack already occurring, the company must be very aware of what they need to do now to keep that secure.
Do you believe that?
No, I don't.
No, I don't either.
So, I mean, if big companies like, Optus and things like that we know here in Australia who've been hacked, why can't Ashley Madison's website be hacked again? So in 2021, the membership base was 4.7 million new members were added in 2021. But globally, they're at 75 million members.
Active
members, yeah.
Yep.
It's crazy, absolutely crazy. And especially when you think about now compared to when they started, and now there are a sea of apps, as we were talking about earlier, that to have a membership base of 75 million, it's insane. But I guess in some ways, dating websites are far more considered, the norm of what people do to date these days.
That's right.
But not only that, so are different relationship types. People are more open to open relationships. People are more open to polyamorous relationships. And
I get that, but there are websites out there for people
other websites
wanting that.
For sure.
So the fact that an adultery website is still so successful.
And there's no the societal view on adultery certainly hasn't changed.
No.
As much as there are more people with an idea of have an open relationship or have, bring other people into a relationship, that's far more considered okay than it was back in the early 2000s. But adultery is still not considered to be okay. So that hasn't changed, but this website continues.
But it just goes to show how many people out there are wanting affairs.
Yeah.
50% of, all marriages in most first world countries end in divorce.
Yep. It's crazy.
I guess that makes up a huge amount of the people who are potentially, subscribing to these websites this website in particular.
Yep. But just going back a bit, they were still looking at, we don't know who the hacker was or hackers. So looking at who was responsible for this, there's a particular person, and we go back to that original phone call from that Krebs, the cybersecurity reporter, where already Ashley Madison had it in line. Really, they were saying they knew who it was, and that this was an ex-employee who had access and somehow had remained to have access. So the name of that person that they were thinking was doing this was this William Harrison. So Krebs looked at this and he was like, yeah, this could be the guy, because this guy had a substantial rap sheet. He looked and found his Facebook profile. His Facebook profile had a photo of him on it with a bulletproof vest and a handgun. So look, there was also then released in the dump of the emails with Noel Biderman, there was a stack of emails between William and Noel Biderman that were very aggressive from William, with some pretty, anti-Semitic statements. There were lots of issues between the two of them. It would become clear that Noel Biderman had used William to do the harassment of the website from ashleymadisonsucks.com. So he was definitely he'd been used and inappropriately by the company to do lots of things that were not okay.
Yep.
And this guy had his back up about that and was not okay when he was then dropped by the company.
Yep.
But he was incredibly good at what he did technically wise. So he had the skill set, he had the aggression.
The motivation,
and
probably.
the motivation.
Yeah.
So he was a pretty good suspect. So this Krebs then looked into him a little bit further and contacted this guy's stepmom just to look into his background a little bit more and see where he was at today in 2015. Where is he now? Could this be him? To be told by his stepmom that William had actually shot himself and died in 2014.
Yep.
So does that rule him out from being the possible hacker? Or could he have given his access to someone else and still been some at play here and been involved in some way at having this come about? That's certainly possible. Or it leaves a real grey, I reckon, area over Noel Biderman himself. Just putting it out there.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think you can just... I wouldn't trust that man as far as I could throw him, and I also wouldn't put anything past him. He is, as I said at the start, a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Not much else has sort of been bandied about. I did see one other name, but it was disproven, so it's not even worth putting it out in the ether. In terms of who was in charge of the impact team, whether there was more than one person, whether it was a team or a person, there's a lot of conjecture out there. I don't think it really matters at the end of the day.
No.
Because what's happened has happened.
And the thing is, what they do say around hackers is that they have a pattern of how they do things, and somehow usually you can... I don't know enough about this stuff, but apparently if a hacker has done some hacking, you can see the evidence of their hack in something else.
Yes.
Right? And what they have said is that this impact team have never been seen prior to this or after.
Or since,
So this is the only hack that they've done. So not to say that means you get away with it. You can do one and this one's the one you get kind of thing, and that they shouldn't be prosecuted for something. But at the same time, they're not continuing to do this and hack information elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think... Have you got anything else to add for the end of this?
Other than just the ethical side of it, of that at the end of the day, what's consensual between a married couple is completely fine in my mind, and
agreed.
Fucking go for it. But when there's deceit and betrayal involved,
and all that secrecy,
you're a piece of shit.
Yep. And I think you've put yourself out there. You've put your details online, and you're seeking out affairs. Maybe sort shit out in your own backyard first.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep.
That definitely brings us to the end of this episode, I think.
Sure.
We could probably go on and speak about how shitty people are for a long, long time.
We're good at that, aren't we?
Totally. Next week's episode, we're going to be talking about the Beaumont children.
Yes.
This is an old Australian case that, look, there's a lot out there about it, and I'm looking forward to really getting my teeth stuck into it. So
this is an interesting one.
It is. So join us next week for that. Thank you again to everybody for listening today. Please don't forget to like and comment on our podcasting apps. If you can give us a review, that would be really wonderful. 5 stars. Of course, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
And thanks everyone again for joining for this week.
For sure. Feel free to buy us a coffee too. You'll find all the links in our show notes, as well as all of our links to our socials in there too, and our sources and links for this week's episode. So thank you very much for joining us. Stay curious, crime besties.
Bye.